467 XAU.
What's the wrong room? That's mine.
Oh, yours?
Yeah.
The police is coming. Tow the car.
What's that?
You need to move the car.
If you buy,
Why is that? It's on the right way.
It's in the
you just have to buy some groceries from there.
Makes sense.
Should be like 4. Yeah, like this.
Yeah, you already said.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanam Nam Prasimam Sadhaitam Savadutam Harinara Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhapitam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Namaste Tata Kanchana Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Prachapine Nirvishesha Shunyamani Vashaka Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pujantam Rama Rameti, Madhuram Madhuraksharam, Arudhya Kavilashana, Vande Valmiki Rohitam, Valmikir Munisimhasya, Kavitavanacharina, Shrivam Rama Kathanadam, Konayati Param यः पीवन सततं रामचरितामृतसागरम् अमृताक्षरमुनिं वन्दे राजेन्द्रश्यामकल्मषम् यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनम् मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् वेदवेद्ये वरे पुंषि जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदस्ताजेन शादाशे साक्षात् रामायणात्मना श्रीराम जय राम जय जय राम श्रीराम जय राम जय जय राम जय राम जय जय राम श्रीराम जय राम जय जय राम श्रीराम जय राम जय जय राम श्रीराम जय राम जय जय राम जय राम जय जय राम श्रीराम जय राम जय जय राम श्रीराम जय राम जय जय राम श्रीराम जय राम जय जय राम जय राम जय जय राम श्रीराम जय राम जय जय राम श्रीराम जय राम जय Okay, so Hare Krishna everybody, and thank you for coming today. So as you all know, today we're going to start discussion on Sundarakanda, or essentially Sundarakanda. The technical translation of Sundarakanda means the book of beauty. So it's the book that talks about, or the canto which talks about the beauty. Now what is that beauty, etc. we will discuss. But essentially, to start off, Ramayana, I always try to think, like generally you have to try to make the start interesting, you have to make the end interesting in order to capture the audience. But there's no other better way to start end to end than to begin with the commentary on the Ramayana. So if you read the commentary on the Ramayana, the commentary, the Mangalacharana, it begins with a story. What is this story? This story is of the Lord when he is residing in Vaikuntha. So actually Lord Vishnu, when he is residing in Vaikuntha, he is completely full of opulence. He is extremely happy there. There are like so many servants he has. There are the eternally liberated servants that he has who are called the Nitya Siddhas. And then there are those devotees who were bound in this material world and then they have been liberated. And then those devotees are serving Krishna. So he sees like thousands and thousands of devotees are serving him. Not only the devotees, he also has Lakshmi Devi serving him. Thousands of Lakshmis are serving him as well. But the Lord, even though he looks at so much opulence and he sees so many devotees serving him, he still has a pain in his heart. He still feels a bit disappointed. He feels like something is not right. That's when he casts his glance upon this material universe. And he sees that in this material universe, there are thousands and thousands of living entities which are suffering. Why? Because of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. So they are constantly taking birth and they're constantly dying. They're suffering the reactions of their pious activities and they're suffering the reactions of their good activities. Because of that, they're taking birth through 8,400,000 species of life. And they're not getting any relief. So when the Lord looks at such living entities, he feels an overwhelming sense of compassion. He thinks, how can I deliver all of these living entities? He thinks that, these are all eternally my children, but still they are suffering. They don't have to suffer, but still they are suffering. So then the Lord decides, okay, well, one thing I can do is, because all of these living entities are suffering, I can send forth my representation. I can send forth my representation in the form of sound, which is known as the Vedas or the Vedic literatures. So I can send those, and then maybe the living entities will read these and they will understand the ultimate truth and they will come back to me. So Krishna does that. He sends the Vedas and he sends the purport of the Vedas through there as well. But what happened is he noticed that people are reading the Vedas, but they've completely missed the point of the Vedas. So if you read the actual purpose of the Vedas, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he says that Vedeshcha sarve aham eva vedya, Vedanta krit eva vid eva chaham. Which means that through the Vedas I am to be known. Ultimately the purpose for which the Vedas were essentially spoken was so that people could understand the Lord. But people missed the point completely. So people were starting to read and concoct all their own meanings out of the Vedas. So that's when the Lord feels a little bit disappointed. So the Lord feels a bit sad, and then he thinks that, well, if people have lost the purport of the Vedas, then I myself have to come down in the form of the essence of the Vedas, which is essentially the mantra we recited. Veda vedye pare pumshi jathe dashrathatmaje Vedas prache dashadakshit sakshad ramayanatmanam. Which means that the Vedas themselves, they reincarnated in the form of Ramayana. The essence of the Vedas reincarnated in the form of Lord Ram. And then he taught the path of liberation from this material universe. So that is the ultimate purpose of the Vedas. So then we see that Lord Ram was still not satisfied. He said that, okay, well, I have come to this material universe, but I need to show these devotees, I need to show these people how to come back to me. So then he says that, okay, well, I have come, so now I have to take my anshas also. I have to take my plenary portions also with me. So then he brings his Shesha. Shesha is none other than the celestial serpent, Ananta Sesha, on which Lord Vishnu sleeps. So he takes him alongside him. Then he takes his Shankha and Chakra also along with him. And then they incarnate as Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrughna respectively. So who are the four brothers of Lord Ram. So through Lord Ram, the Lord Vishnu told us or showed us how we should perform our duty in this material universe. Through Lakshmana, he showed how we should perform service to the Lord. Through Bharata, he showed how we should how we should obey the orders of the Lord. And through Shatrughna, he showed, what did he show? If anyone remembers from the morning.
How to serve the devotees.
How to serve the devotees. So he showed how to serve devotees. So 4 personalities, 4 different instructions. How to follow one's duty, how to serve the Lord, how to follow the instructions of the Lord, and how to serve the devotees. So he taught all of this. And then he became satisfied, because then he saw that people naturally had an attraction to hearing these pastimes of the Lord. And then he felt that, okay, now people will try to come back to me. So now you may ask, okay, well, we are going to discuss Sundarakanda from today. Sundarakanda, we'll discuss what is Sundarakanda also. But you might ask, there are so many different Ramayanas around. Like there's Valmiki Ramayana, there is Kamba Ramayana, there is Tulsidas Ramcharitmanas. There are at least described over 1000 versions of Ramayana throughout. So why did we decide to discuss, well, we are going to discuss from Valmiki Ramayana. But the question you might ask is, why did we decide to discuss from Valmiki Ramayana only? Why not from any of the other Ramayanas? Well, the glory of Valmiki Ramayana is explained in the Ramayana itself. It says, so this is a blessing that Lord Brahma gave to Valmiki. And what was this blessing that he gave? It says, Yavat sthasyanti girayaha sarita cha mahitale tavad Ramayana Katha lokeshu pracharishyati. Which means that as long as the mountains remain standing on this earth, and as long as the rivers continue to flow, so long will this Ramayana that you compose of Valmiki will be recited throughout this material universe. So this was a blessing that Lord Brahma gave to Valmiki. So we see that Valmiki's Ramayana is the original Ramayana. And you might ask, what are the differences? I'll try to point out some of the differences between the original Valmiki Ramayana and the other forms of Ramayana that are discussed throughout. And through this you will see the glory of Valmiki. Like what was his mood, what was his intention, and why he chooses to omit certain instances, and why he chooses to expand on certain instances or certain pastimes of the Lord. We will all discuss in this Sundarakanda Katha. So essentially now the question may be asked is, where does Sundarakanda start, or where does Sundarakanda finish? So to answer that question, first we need to look at the structure of the Ramayana, and then we will start discussing Sundarakanda. So if you look at the 7 cantos of Ramayana, what does anyone know all the names of the cantos? So what is the first canto of Valmiki Ramayana? Balakanda. What does Balakanda mean? Balakanda means the activities of the Lord when he was a child. Bala means child. So then, so this Kanda includes all of the activities that the Lord performed from his, even before his birth. Well, Balakanda actually talks about how the Valmiki Ramayana was, first it was created. Then it also describes how Lord Ram personally heard it as well. So through the mouths of Lava and Kusha, it describes that also. And then it goes on, then it goes on to describe the life of Dashratha, how Lord Ram and then the 4 brothers were born. And then it describes his journey through the forest with sage Vishwamitra, killing of the demons like Tadaka, Maricha, Subahu. And then it talks about Lord Rama's marriage to Sita and all the other 4 brothers, all the other 3 brothers who got married also. We'll have some quiz for the kids at the lake, like afterwards, to see how much you remember from 2 years ago. Oh no, kids are like, I don't remember what happened yesterday at school, and then you're asking me what happened 2 years ago. Oh, okay, that's alright, we'll leave that for later. So, yeah, so then he gets married, and then he comes to Ayodhya. So then what is the name of the second canto then? Second canto is Ayodhya Kanda. So the first canto involves the first, how many years of Rama's life? 12 years of his life. And that is covered in around 2,300 verses. Then the next canto, which is Ayodhya Kanda. Ayodhya Kanda is the incidents where Lord Ram is exiled into the forest. So he's about to be coronated as the king. Then his mother or stepmother, who is Kekai, she plots a plan against Lord Ram and then somehow gets him exiled into the forest. So then he goes into the forest, and while he goes into the forest, his father Dashratha leaves his body, and his brother Bharata comes and he tries to convince his Lord Ram to come back and take over the kingdom, but Lord Ram refuses. So this episode happens for around 1 week. In 1 week, all of this, 1 week is Lord Ram going for exile, and then another week for Bharata to come back. So 15 days, 1 fortnight is this whole event which happens. For 1 fortnight, Valmiki spends 4,500 verses. So for first 13 years, he spent 2,500 verses. Then for Ayodhya Kanda, he spends 4,300 or 4,500 verses. So that's a lot of verses for just 15 days. And then, what's the name of the next canto? So then the Lord goes into the forest. So what's that canto called? Which one? Aranyakanda. Aranyakanda. Aranya means forest. So then the Lord goes into the forest with Sita and Lakshmana, and over there he meets all the sages, he blesses them, and then at that time he also meets lots of demons, he kills a lot of demons like Viradha, etc. And then at that time Surpanakha comes and meets the Lord, and then she wants to marry him. Lord Ram says no, she gets angry, she tries to kill Sita, and she tries to kill, she approaches both Ram and Lakshmana, and then she tries to kill Sita. So then Lakshmana disfigures her, he cuts her nose and he cuts her ears, etc. And actually it was funny, once I was reciting this story and then about how Lakshmana cut off Surpanakha's nose and ears, and then someone got very annoyed and they said that, like, oh, this is discrimination, how can, this is against female empowerment, like how can you describe this pastime? And then I said, okay, well, you're within your free will, you can go and file an FIR against Lakshmana if you want, what can I do? Like, these are just the pastimes of the Lord, we are narrating them as they are. So yeah, so he disfigures Surpanakha, and then Surpanakha goes back to Ravana. No, actually first she goes to Khara and Dushana, who are her demon brothers, and they bring an army of 14,000 demons, and then they attack the Lord. And Lord Ram single-handedly kills all of them, completely, destroys them. So then, but he leaves one person. Whom does he leave? Does anyone remember? No, Bharat is a devotee. He leaves one demon. No. Yes? Huh? Trishiras. No, Trishiras he kills actually. So Khara, Dushana and Trishiras they come. There's one guy called Akampana. Akampana he leaves. And this Akampana goes back to Ravana, and then he informs Ravana that, there's this person called Rama who's killed 14,000 of your brothers single-handedly. So then Ravana convinces his uncle Marich to take the form of a golden deer and then come and create an illusion and somehow distract Lord Ram, etc. So that is being described there also. So after that, Sita is kidnapped. From there we see that Maricha takes the form of a golden deer, and then Sita is unfortunately, Ravana comes in the form of a sannyasi, Ravanananda. So he comes in that form and then he kidnaps Sita. And then Rama, when he finds out, he starts looking for Sita, and while he's looking for Sita, he notices that Jatayu, or a vulture, has lost his life because Jatayu was trying to protect Sita. And then we notice that Lord Ram gave Jatayu moksha. He gave Jatayu liberation, a bird. Especially that kind of bird which essentially in the scriptures it's forbidden to even hang around that kind of bird, because as we all know, vultures are scavengers. Nowadays kids may not have seen vultures because they're all disappearing everywhere, but they're scavengers. They like to eat meat, and that too meat which has been rotten and spoiled. So in Shastra it is explained that you should not even touch a vulture, let alone go near it. And what Lord Ram did, Lord Ram embraced that vulture and gave it moksha. Why? Because Lord Ram saw that this vulture was actually serving him. So then Lord Ram goes down south, and then he meets Shabari. And then what happens? Shabari brings the Lord inside her house, and then she takes some fruits, she eats the fruits, and then she gives it to Lord Ram, isn't it?
No, that's not.
No, that doesn't happen actually. That's right. So she doesn't do that. Again, this is a very huge misconception people have, that Shabari tasted the fruits before giving it to Lord Ram. No, she didn't do that. Because Lord Ram's mood is not that of Krishna. So Krishna, if you eat something and you give it to him, especially his intimate devotees, if they do that, that's fine, he may accept it. Like Krishna can even eat banana peel. Like Vidura's wife, she gave Krishna a banana peel and he ate that. And we notice in Srimad Bhagavatam that the friends of Krishna, they make all kinds of balls of curd rice, and then they eat it themselves, and then they feed Krishna with their left hand also. So Krishna can do that, but Lord Ram was Maryada Purushottam. So he came to establish dharma, so he would not eat the remnants of someone else. So he would be very, very much fixated on the path of dharma. In fact, it's described that, like when Dashrath left his body, then at that time when Bharata comes to the Lord, Bharata is none other than his brother, Rama's brother. He comes to the Lord and informs him that, like your father has left his body. Lord Ram actually, after hearing that, first thing he does is he determines the direction. What is the direction? Where is north, where is south, where is east, where is west? He faces south and then he starts crying. I mean, this is how rigid Lord Ram was in following dharma. So to this kind of Lord Ram, when we say that, Lord Shabari tasted the fruits and she gave him that fruit, it's actually a bit, it doesn't really fit in with the story. So Shabri did not do that. She offered the Lord some fruits, and then Lord Ram accepted those fruits and he gave her moksha. So he gave her liberation, and then she departed to the spiritual world also. So then after doing that, that's the interval. That's like halfway through Ramayana. Then the next part of the Ramayana is where the Lord enters Karnataka, or he entered into Kishkinda, the kingdom of Kishkinda, where Sugriva, Vali and Hanuman were present. So then he finds out that, okay, well, I'm not alone after all. There is another person like me who is Sugriva, who has also lost his wife. I have lost my wife, Sugriva has also lost his wife. The problem is that Sugriva is a monkey, he's a Vanara. And but Lord Ram does not hesitate to make friendship with him. And in front of the fire, they make a pact that, like, I will help you rescue your wife, but you help me rescue my wife. So they make this pact, and then Lord Ram fulfills his promise. So Lord Ram helps Sugriva kill Vali. So Vali was, so for those of you who are new and who don't know much about Ramayana, you might feel that there are lots of new characters that you are being introduced to. But please hold on with me because these characters will pass soon anyways. So yeah, so then Lord Ram essentially he kills Vali and then he restores Sugriva's wife to him. Now again from past sessions, does anyone remember what is Sugriva's wife's name? Tara is Vali's wife. What is Sugriva's wife's name? Ruma. Ruma is Sugriva's wife. So then that goes to show you're not reading Ramayana. Yeah, you have to read Ramayana. Yeah, definitely have to read Ramayana. So essentially then Sugriva is reunited with his wife, Ruma, but then at that time Chaturmasya starts. So the 4 months of rainy season when nothing is meant to happen, those months essentially start at that time. Which means that he can't do anything. So at that time they have to stay still in their own place. So at this time Lord Ram suffers immense separation from Sita. So it's described that Lord Ram essentially he became covered with dust, he was not eating, he had like insects crawling over him and he became very disheveled. He didn't look after his clothes. And seeing Lord Ram so distressed, Lakshmana became even more distressed because Lakshmana is essentially the left hand or right hand of Lord Ram, you could say. So he became even more distressed. So after some time when the 4 months pass, then Ram notices that Sugriva has forgotten about his promise. So then he sends Lakshmana. So Lakshmana goes to Sugriva and he goes very angrily with his bow and arrow, with his eyes becoming completely red. And the monkeys, they become terrified when they see Lakshmana coming in like this. He looked like the god of death coming into the kingdom of Kishkinda. So then they all start running here and there. One of them reaches Sugriva's quarters and tells him that actually Ram is coming back. Lakshman is coming. So then Sugriva becomes frightened and he says, oh yeah, I totally forgot about my promise. Essentially in the 4 months he resorted to drinking and alcohol and he started playing games, etc., gambling and things like that, which is not forbidden for Vanaras. It's not forbidden for monkeys to do that. So he started doing all of that. So then when he saw Lakshmana, he came to his senses completely. And then him and his wife, Ruma and Tara. So when Vali died, Sugriva married Tara also. So then they all come and they pacify Lakshmana and they say that, okay, well, we're coming with you. So then they take an army of over 10 million monkeys, it's described. 10 million monkeys went all the way with Sugriva to the place where Lord Ram was stationed. So then Sugriva, as the head of the monkeys, he says that, Lord Ram, I am here at your service. Now please command what we should do. So Lord Ram decides that, okay, well, we don't know where Sita is. So he says, we're going to send expeditions into 4 different directions, north, south, east and west. So different monkeys were made in charge of the different expeditions. So the expedition that was going towards the south, it's described that that expedition contained all the prominent personalities. It contained Jambavan, Angada and Hanuman. So all these 3 personalities were there in the expedition which went south. Interestingly enough, Lord Ram gave his ring to Hanuman. He didn't give his ring to anyone else. He gave his ring to Hanuman. Now you might ask this question, that why did Lord Ram give his ring to Hanuman? when he's sending monkeys in all different directions, why did he give his ring only to Hanuman? Why didn't he give some other memoriam or some kind of token to the monkeys who were traveling in the other directions? Now ponder over this question. Maybe or may not, we may answer it today, but we can also leave this as a cliffhanger. Why did Ram only give the ring to Hanuman? You could say, well, Ram already knew that Hanuman will be the one who will find Sita. Well, if that's the case, then why was Lord Ram wasting all the other monkeys' time and energy? Is Lord Ram stupid to send all the monkeys in all different directions just because, he wants them to have fun? No, that's not the case. There must be some reason behind that also. So you can keep thinking about this. Maybe or maybe not we'll answer that question today, or we'll answer it subsequently anyways. So then this expedition which was going towards the south, they travel all the way down south and they come towards the tip of India. They come near the a place where the land finishes and the ocean starts at that place. So essentially over there it's described that these monkeys were very hungry and very thirsty because they had not eaten and not drunk anything in the last few days. In fact, their condition was so miserable that they were starting to see things which were not existing. So they saw fruits and they went and ran and they started eating fruits. But they were not really fruits at all. They were actually poisonous leaves. So they started eating these leaves, and by eating these poisonous leaves they became intoxicated and they started running at each other, punching each other, jumping at each other, etc. Their position became absolutely miserable. So essentially when they were so distressed and they came down to the south, they noticed that the land finishes there and the ocean starts. Now they have nowhere else to go. Sugriva had given them a time frame. Sugriva had said that you need to find out the whereabouts of Sita within 1 month. If you don't find out about the whereabouts of Sita, you will be killed, he said. So Sugriva gave this order to his monkeys, essentially to motivate them so that they can go and find Sita. So these monkeys were very distressed. They were thinking that, Sugriva has given an order that if we don't find Sita, we will die. We can't eat, we can't drink, we can't find anything, we are so distressed. Then they say that the next thing we see is that the ocean has come as well, like there's no land anymore. So they became distressed by that. And to make matters worse, there was a huge vulture that was coming and trying to eat these monkeys also. So when the vulture heard that these monkeys were making some noise, or the monkeys were making some sound, so the vulture said that, well, I haven't eaten in a very long time. I am feeling very hungry. So the vulture also came and it decided to eat these monkeys. So as this vulture came and it was about to eat these monkeys, Angada says, Angada is the son of Bali. So he says that how glorious was Jatayu. Jatayu the vulture sacrificed his life in the service of Lord Ram. But look at us. We are trying to serve the Lord, but we are giving up our lives in vain because we don't have anything to eat and drink. If we go back, we're going to get killed, and then this vulture is going to kill us anyways. So our life is completely useless. But Jatayu was so glorious because he could sacrifice his life while serving the Lord. So as the vulture heard this, the vulture immediately stopped. And then it said, wait, what did you say again? Which name did you take? Then they said, well, we were speaking about Jatayu. So then he says, Jatayu, are you saying Jatayu is dead? So then they say, yeah, Jatayu lost his life while he was fighting Ravana. Ravana kidnapped Sita, and essentially that's what happened. So he said, tell me about this Sita. Tell me about this Ram. Who is this Ram? So then at that time, Jambavan, Angad, Hanuman, they essentially recite the whole of Ramayana. They describe who is Lord Ram, how he met the monkeys, etc., and who Sita is and all of that. They described all of that. So then when they described all of that, the monkey, this vulture, had tears in his eyes. And the vulture said that actually I am the brother of Jatayu. Jatayu is my brother. My name is, what was the vulture's name? Sampati, that's right. So my name is Sampati. He says that he explained that once upon a time when I was young and my brother was also young, Jatayu wanted to go all the way to the sun because he wanted to challenge the sun. So, but Jatayu was a vulture. How can the vulture challenge the sun? But as the vulture was going up and up, his wings were starting to burn. So what Sampati did, Sampati being the elder brother of Jatayu, he flies all the way on top of Jatayu and he covers Jatayu's wings with his own wings. So his wings end up burning and he takes Jatayu and he falls down to the ground. So Sampati's wings were completely burnt. Sampati could not fly, but Jatayu could fly. So that's why food used to be bought to Sampati through Jatayu. Jatayu used to bring him some food. But he realized, he said that for the last few days I haven't met my brother. And no food has been coming to me either. So I realized that my brother has left his body. So he became very distressed. So then he says that, actually, I can understand the cause of your distress. He says that this Sita you are talking about, he says, well, I may be old and my wings may not be working very well, but my eyes are still very good. And he says that 100 yojanas from here, yojana is considered to be a unit of measurement which is around 8 miles. So 800 miles from here, he said that 800 miles from here, I can see that there is Sita sitting in Lanka. So I can see that, she is there. So then the monkeys became extremely excited. They said, wow, this is great. Like, now at least we know where Sita is, and Sita is alive, so we can kind of go and try to find this Sita. So then what happens is, now there's another bigger problem, because they've hit the land, they've hit the bottom of the land, and there's the ocean all the way down south, and then there is Lanka. So how far was the island of Lanka from the southernmost tip of Bharata or India at that time? Does anyone know?
22 miles.
That is now. Back in the day, how much was it? Yeah. No one knows. It was 100 yojanas. 100 yojanas means, I just told you already, 800 miles. Yeah, I already told you. Yeah, I forgot as well that I told you. How bad it is, unfortunately. So, yeah, so then he finds out that, okay, well, 800 miles from here, Sita is sitting. So now the question comes, who will cross this ocean? Who has the capacity to jump? So then they all start thinking and they say that, like different monkeys come. So Nala says that I can jump only 80 miles. Neela says I can jump 90 miles. Angada says, well, I can jump 100 miles, but I can't come back. And then Jambavan comes and he says, well, you know, back in my day, because Jambavan was very old as well. Like Jambavan is from Satyuga, he's very old. So Jambavan says, well, back in my day, I circled the whole earth 3 times, but now I can't do anything. Well, what was the point of that? Like, you know, like, it was helpful. I mean, we see that nowadays also. Like, in every field there are people who say, back in my day I did this, back in my day I did that, now you can't do anything. So, yeah, no criticism or anything, but it's just an observation that even in Ramayana, those kinds of personalities existed. So, no need to feel bad if you hear about those kinds of personalities today also. So, yeah, so he said that. So then they're contemplating. In the meantime, Hanuman is just sitting there quietly. Hanuman is not saying anything. So now Jambavan thinks, okay, well, no one can go, but Hanuman is sitting quietly. So then he says to Hanuman that actually, Hanuman, you're the only person who can cross the ocean. You are the only one who can go 100 miles across and 100 miles back. Hanuman says, really? I didn't know that. He says, yes, of course you don't know. He says, okay, the reason you don't know is, let's talk about Hanuman's story. So let's talk about how Hanuman came to be Hanuman. So essentially, once upon a time, there was in Apsara. So now again, we're changing gears, we're going back in time. So once upon a time, there was a celestial girl, dancing girl, whose name was, or an Apsara, whose name was Punjika Sthala. This Punjika Sthala was in love with the wind god, or Vayu. So it's described that one day Punjika Sthala and Vayu, or the wind god, were playing in the water. They were like splashing water on each other. So as they were splashing water on each other, there was a sage who was sitting under a tree and he was performing tapas, or he was performing austerities. Now because this Punjika Sthala was flapping water everywhere and like some of the water fell on that sage, he got very annoyed. He said that you're not behaving like a woman who is meant to be from the heavenly planets. You're behaving exactly like a monkey would behave, because you have no consideration of time, place and circumstance. So he says, because of that, I curse you to be born in a monkey family. So that girl, or Punjika Sthala, was born as, who was she born as? Anjana. So she was born as a monkey girl called Anjana. And she was married to another monkey boy called Kesari. That's right. So Kesari and Anjana. So then they had a little boy. After some time, they had a little son. And what was that son's name? No, that was not his birth name.
Oh.
Anjaneya is like Draupadi. Like, for example, like what's the daughter of Draupadi? Is Maruti was not his birth name. He had another birth name. No. So like you can't say Anjaneya, because Anjaneya just means that he is the son of Anjana. Like Draupadi is the son of daughter of Drupada, like that. Vasudeva is the son of Vasudeva. So like that, Anjaneya means that he is the son of Anjana. Baby's name was actually Sundara. Boy's name is Sundara. So of course he was a beautiful boy, so his mother named him Sundara. Sundara means beautiful. So he was named Sundara. His birth name is Sundara. Yeah. So then essentially what happens is like they only had one child. So one day like the mother was feeding the child some curd rice. Now you might say, why do I have obsession with curd rice? Well, if you go to Karnataka nowadays also they eat curd rice. So it's logical that Hanuman, who was also born in that region, he was also eating curd rice. What is another dish that they like to have with curd rice? They mix curd rice with one particular fruit.
Mango.
Someone said it, mango. I didn't say it, you said it, mango. See, so when one day what happened was, one day this the mother Anjana was feeding this little boy Sundar some curd rice, and then the boy naturally wanted some mango. So he looks up at the sky and he sees that, you know, the sun looks like a mango. So the sun looks like, everyone has some problem with the sun, I don't know why. Jatayu didn't like the sun, and then now this little boy also didn't like the sun, he also wants to eat it. Yeah, at least good thing is that nowadays kids don't feel like eating the sun. So that's a good thing, I guess. Yeah, so this boy, he's like, okay, well I have curd rice, but I want some mango with it. So he's like, okay, well I have to go and get some mango. So then he essentially started jumping from, actually before that, to describe how he got all of his powers. Because the next episode, if I describe to you, you may ask, you know, like how did a monkey start jumping? So Anjana had prayed to Lord Shiva for a child. So Lord Shiva blessed Anjana and he said that I will give you a part of my son. Like I will give you a part of myself as your son. So essentially, and that seed of Lord Shiva was carried by Vayu to Kesari. So that is why Hanuman is known, or Sundara was the son of 3 different fathers. Who was Kesari, was his biological father. Shankara or Lord Shiva was the one who gave the seed, and Vayu was the one who carried the seed. So essentially he had the power of all 3 of them. So then when he saw this sun, or when he saw this mango-like fruit in the sky, he decided that he wants to eat that fruit. So he essentially started jumping from branch to branch, from tree to tree, and as he was jumping, he started leaping all the way up towards the sun. So when Indra saw that this boy is coming and he is going to swallow up the sun, he became very scared, because he said that if this boy swallows the sun, how will the earth function, or how will the other planetary systems work? So it won't work. So Indra took his Vajra and he smashed this boy on the jaw, which essentially broke his jaw. And then this boy fell down on the ground. So if you read the Ramayana, in the Ramayana it is said, Tada Shailagra Shikare Vamo Hanur Abhijayata Tato hi Namadhyayam te Hanuman iti kirtitam. Which means that Tato hi Namadhyayam te Hanuman iti kirtitam. After this incident, that boy was called Hanuman. Why? What does Hanuman mean? Hanuman means one whose jaw has been broken. Because it says Vamo Hanur Abhijayata, which means that his left jaw was broken. His left jaw became swollen, and that's what Hanuman means. Hanuman means one whose jaw is broken. Broken jaw. Now it's a very gangster kind of title, like, what's your name? My name is Broken Jaw. Like, that's kind of what That's what the title is. So, like, yeah, that's what it means. So that's why you can imagine his mom won't name him Hanuman. Now you can understand why his birth name was not Hanuman. He was not born with a broken jaw. So, yeah, so essentially after that, his jaw was broken and then he fell down on the ground. Now when he fell down on the ground, his father, or the wind god, Vayudev, he became very, very distressed at seeing the condition of his son. And because of, in his distress, he could not permeate throughout the entire universe. So essentially he started withdrawing all the air within him. And as he was doing that, all the living entities in the higher planets, lower planets, they all started dropping dead because they can't breathe. All the oxygen started going down. So then when that started happening, all the demigods decided, well, we need to do something. We need to remove this grief of Vayu. So then they all came, and Indra was the first one who came back, and he said, I grant this boy life again. So he took Hanuman's or Maruti's soul and he gave it back to the boy. He said that this boy will live again. But not only that, he said that I will make sure that all the demigods give one benediction to this little boy. So Indra came, and Indra said that you will be immune to my Vajra from now on. So you will be immune to my thunderbolt from now on. Then Lord Brahma came. Lord Brahma said you will be immune from my Brahmastra also. You will be immune to my weapon from this day onwards also. So for those of you who don't know, Brahmastra is considered to be the most powerful nuclear weapon in this entire universe. It can explode the entire universe, not just one town or one city. It can explode the entire universe. So Hanuman gave, Lord Brahma gave Hanuman this blessing that his weapon would not work on him. Then all the other demigods, they came and they gave him some kind of benediction as well. Now Surya Dev was left. Surya Dev, the one whom he tried to eat, that demigod was still left. The sun god was still left. So then they asked, sun god said, like all the boons have been given by all the other devatas. What can I give? So then Anjana says that, actually like my son is a very naughty boy. Because of that he can't sit still. Because he can't sit still, no one is admitting him in school. Like you can imagine, like if he has ADHD or something, like no one is going to admit him. So then she said that, well, can you please admit him into your school? Can you become his guru? So why did she ask him so that he could become his guru? Because in Bhagavad Gita also we see that Surya Dev is very knowledgeable. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham abhyayam vivasvan manave praha manur ikshvakave bravi. Which means that Krishna says that I first instructed the science of self-realization to Vivaswan, or none other than the sun god. So the sun god was instructed in the science of self-realization. So the sun god was naturally very, very learned. But then the sun god said, okay, that's fine, I can teach him. But I have a problem myself. He says that I don't stay in a fixed place, because as we know, the sun also moves. So he says that because the sun keeps moving and I have to keep moving, I can't sit in one place and teach your child. Anjana said, that is perfect. He said, my child is already hyperactive. My child is already out of control. He can't sit in one place. So if you keep moving and teaching him, that is perfect for him. He also can't sit in one place. So Hanuman, it said that he learned the science of self-realization, all the Vedas from the sun god while the sun was moving as well. Now what happened is, after Hanuman had completed his schooling, he became very, very naughty. He became even more naughty than he was before, because he had so many powers. He had received boons from all the demigods. Now the sages were getting very frustrated, because Hanuman, what he would do is, like, he would go and, if the sages were meditating, he would quickly go and steal their water pot. And then when they're performing yajna, that water pot would disappear completely. Or he would go and steal their danda. Danda would disappear completely. So the sages were finding it extremely annoying. Like, although the child is cute, sometimes cute children can also be a bit annoying. So the sages, they wanted to curse that child, but they didn't want to give him a curse which would harm him again. Because last time they cursed him, or last time something bad happened, so many people died. Because Vayu withdrew air. So they didn't want to do something similar again. So they cursed Hanuman. They said that, because you're so naughty, we're going to curse you that you will forget all of your powers from now on. So you will live like an ordinary man. You will only remember these powers of yours when someone who is wise and very intelligent reminds you of these powers of yours. So that is why Hanuman, it said that he forgot all of his powers. That's why he was just standing there silent, like, okay, all these monkeys are so great, they can jump 80, 90, 100 yojanas. etc. Jambavan used to circle the entire earth back in the day. But what can I do? I can't do anything. I don't have any powers. So then Jambavan told him that no, actually you have all the powers. You can do all of this. So that's when all of this discussion happens, that's when Sundarakanda starts. So this is the episode of Sundarakanda. When Hanuman realizes that he has certain powers and what he does next, all of that happens in Sundarakanda. And it finishes when Hanuman comes back from Lanka and he describes everything he had seen to Lord Ram. And then after that, the next Kanda starts. Next Kanda is, what is the next Kanda? Yuddha Kanda, that's right. So Yuddha Kanda is when it starts with Vibhishana rejecting Ravana and then coming to Lord Ram, and Lord Ram gives shelter to Vibhishana. After he gives shelter to Vibhishana, then they all start building the bridge and then going down south, and then the war happens, and then Rama kills Ravana, Kumbhakarna and all the other demons, and then they bring Sita back. So now I want you to reflect. First Kanda is Bal Kanda, based on the pastimes of the Lord. Second Kanda is known as Ayodhya Kanda, which is where the Lord spent most of his time in Ayodhya. Third Kanda is Aranya Kanda because Lord Ram spent time in the forest. Fourth Kanda is known as Kishkinda Kanda because the Lord spent time in Kishkinda. Skip the fifth one. Sixth one is known as Yuddha Kanda because the Lord engaged in a battle with Ravana. So all these 6 kandas are there. 7th kanda is known as Uttar Kanda because it contains Uttara, which means answers to all the questions. That is there in Uttar Kanda. Why is this 5th canto called Sundarakanda? It's not named after the Lord. It's actually named after Hanuman. Sundara, as we discussed, is the name of Hanuman himself. So it's called Sundarakanda. Essentially, in the commentary to Ramayana, it is described another reason why this canto is called Sundarakanda is explained. So it says, Sundare Sundaro Ramo, Sundare Sundari Katha, Sundaro Sundari Sita, Sundare Sundare Vanam, Sundare Sundaram Kavyam, Sundare Sundaram Kapihi, Sundare Sundaram Mantram, Sundare Kimna Sundaram. Which means that everything in this canto is beautiful. So Sita is beautiful. The Katha, this pastime, this narration of Sundarakanda is beautiful. Rama is very beautiful. Then the one who took the messenger, the one who took the form of the messenger, who is Hanuman, he is Sundara, he is beautiful. The message he took is Sundara. Then he says, what is not beautiful about this canto? So this is the introduction to this canto. So it's explained that everything in this canto is ultimately very, very sweet. So that is the second reason why this canto is known as Sundarakanda. There's a third reason why this canto is known as Sundarakanda. And to explain to you why this canto is known as Sundarakanda, I want you to take your memory back to the start of the class. So at the start of the class, I explained how Lord Vishnu was distressed by looking at the position of the jivas or the living entities in this material universe. So then what does he do? The Vedas as a messenger to the fallen living entities or us. And with the hope to reclaim them back or with the hope to bring them back. And that is exactly what is happening in this canto also. So Sita, as we know, is separated from Lord Ram and is captured in Lanka. So she is being stationed in Lanka. So Sita is described as being the Jivatma or the individual soul or us. And where are we stuck? We are stuck in this body or in this material universe, which looks very beautiful, but it's surrounded by demons. So this is known as Lanka. So this material universe or this whole place is known as Lanka. So then Lord Rama, who is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead or Paramatma, he sends someone as a messenger. So who is that messenger? That messenger is Hanuman. Yeah? In practical terms, who is that messenger? Who does Krishna send to reclaim all the fallen souls?
Guru Tattva.
Guru Tattva. That's right. So Hanuman is actually also known as Guru Tattva. Hanuman explains the position of a guru. Because Lord Ram or the Supreme Personality of Godhead sends the spiritual master or the guru to reclaim the fallen soul from this material universe. So that is why, because this canto essentially is a mirror image of the mood of the Lord in Vaikuntha, that is why this canto is known as Sundarakanda. And we will discuss a little bit more about that as time comes. So then essentially when Hanuman is reminded of his powers, so then at that time he becomes very excited. Now he wants to check out his powers. He says, okay, really, am I that powerful? So he says, okay, well, I want to see how powerful I am. So he says, okay, well, let me grow up. So he grows in size, he becomes huge and gigantic like a mountain. Then he says, okay, well, let me see if I can become small. So he shrinks down all the way down to the size of an ant. He became very, very small. And then he grows back up and then he starts jumping around, he starts leaping in the air, etc. And then he sees that, yes, that's right. Now I'm very, very powerful. So then it's described that at that time, Hanuman says that, okay, now I am going to offer my respects to Lord Ram, to Lakshmana, and to Sugriva, and to all my acharyas, before I make this jump and go to Lanka. Did he miss someone? Did he forget to offer obeisances to someone? He offered obeisances to Ram, Lakshman, Sugriva, and to all the demigods, and to all his acharyas. So Surya Deva, all the acharyas that had taught him. He forgot to offer his obeisances to one person. Who? No, not water. Huh? Someone I thought said it. Huh? No. Okay, that's alright. That will be a cliffhanger for next time. So he forgot to offer his obeisances onto one person. And because of that, he had to suffer eventually. So you will see why he had to suffer. Because he forgot to offer his respects to one person. So as he was doing that, he grew up in size. So you can imagine, like Hanuman, he went on top of a hill, which was Mahendragiri Parvat. So he stood on Mahendragiri. And at that time, he increased his size ginormously. It's described that as he increased his size, he started to push and crush the land underneath him. As he was crushing the land underneath him, it's described that the land underneath him had snakes. And these snakes were coming out. And as they were coming out, because of the increasing pressure, they were also biting onto the rocks. And they were like squeezing onto the rocks. And as they were squeezing onto the rocks, they were emitting their complete, like all their venom and all their poison was starting to come out. Venom actually, not poison. So all their venom was starting to come out. And then it's described that, well, as that was happening, all the medicinal herbs that were there, around there, like Sanjeevani, etc. Sanjeevani was there also, actually it's described. So all the medicinal herbs, they, in order to counteract the venom that was coming out of the mouths of the snakes, they also started releasing their own fragrances. So essentially there was a battle that was going on between the venom and the medicinal herbs. This is how beautifully Valmiki describes what was happening. So then as he started growing up, he started growing taller than the trees. So it's explained that these trees had lots of flowers. So his hair were becoming big as well. And then the flowers from the trees were starting to get stuck on his body. And it looked like the trees were respecting Hanuman by giving him flowers in that sense. So that is the imagery that is given by Valmiki. So as he was starting to grow in size and he started having lots of flowers on him and he became extremely big. At that time he decided to make a jump and go for Lanka. So now a question for kids is, there are two types of ways in which someone can propel, right? So first kind is on a flight. Like on a flight, for example, you see that the flight essentially has to go on a runway. It goes runway, and then it flies, right? There's another type of propelling which is like a rocket. Like rocket doesn't need to go on a runway. It just literally just flies up. So which one do you think Hanuman did? Did he run and then fly, or did he go as a rocket? Rocket. How many say rocket? Okay, good. How many say like a plane? Oh, no one says. Oh, one person. Okay, few people are saying like plane. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Actually, in this case, the kids are right. So Hanuman actually propelled like a rocket. Hanuman propelled like a rocket. And then the first verse of Sundarakanda is described. What is the first verse of Sundarakanda? It says, Tato Ravana Nitaya Sitaya Shatru Karshanaha Iyesha Padam Anveshtum Charana Charite Patihi. Which means that now Shatru Karshanaha. Shatru Karshana, Hanuman is being described as Shatru Karshana. Shatru Karshana means one who destroys the enemies. Now a question for you is, which enemy did Hanuman destroy till now? He didn't really fight with any enemies. when he goes to Lanka, he'll fight with enemies, but he still hasn't fought with any enemies yet. So why is Hanuman being called as Shatru Karshana, or the one who destroys enemies? I have kind of already answered that question before. Because Hanuman is the representation of the Guru Tattva. What is the meaning of the word Guru? The technical meaning.
Dispel the darkness.
One who dispels the darkness. So it's described that Gu Shabda Andakarasya Rutan Nikodana, which means that Guru means one who dispels darkness, one who destroys darkness. So Andakara Nirovidha Gurur iti avidiyate, which means that one who destroys darkness, that person is known as Guru. So the enemy that Hanuman was going to destroy was that of darkness, so one of ignorance. So that is why Hanuman is known as Guru Tattva there. So what is Sita? Sita we have already discussed. Sita is the representation of the Jivatma, or the living entity who has been separated from Lord Ram. And Ravana is who? Ravana is described as our senses who keep us away from Rama in that sense. So that is how it's described. So Tato Ravana Nitaya Sitaya Shatru Darshanaha Iyesha Padam Anveshtum. So now Hanuman took his first step. So that is the first verse of Sundarakanda. So to find Ravana and to find Sita, Hanuman took his first step. So then, as the kid said, he propelled like a rocket. So after propelling himself like a rocket, he flew. He started going down in the southern direction. So as he was going in the southern direction, he noticed that as he was flying, he noticed that there was a little mountain that slowly starts to emerge from the water. Now that might be a bit scary for those who are traveling. Like let's say you're going in a plane, and in the plane you suddenly see that, like a mountain has started coming out. So yeah, this mountain was coming out. And Hanuman got a bit confused. Why is there a mountain coming out? So then at that point it was explained that Hanuman thought it could be two things. It could be a demon, or it could be some kind of help that has been sent. So he waits for the mountain. So then at that point the mountain himself starts, so the name of the mountain was Mainaka Parvat. So Mainaka comes to Hanuman and he says that actually a long time ago, when essentially in Vedic literature it's described that previously back in the day, the mountains also had wings and they could also fly. But Indra took his Vajra, or he took his thunderbolt, and he destroyed the wings of the mountains, which is why now they don't fly. That is why now they stay in one place. But when Indra was doing that, there's one mountain who was known as Mainaka. This Mainaka sought the shelter of the wind god, Vayu. And Vayu took this mountain and he submerged this mountain underneath the ocean. So that is why this one mountain still had wings. So this mountain came up because it wanted to reciprocate, and it wanted to say that, back in the day, your father helped me. So as a token of gratitude, today I also want to help you. You have a very long journey ahead of you. Lanka is very much far away. So please take some rest on me. Please take some rest on this mountain, and then find some fruits to eat, etc. And then once when you're satisfied, then you can make your journey. So then Hanuman thought that actually this is an obstacle on my journey. But this was considered to be a friendly obstacle. Friendly obstacle in the sense that it wasn't really an obstacle. This mountain was coming with the spirit of helping him in one sense. So then Hanuman essentially, he embraced that mountain, and he says that, look, I can't take rest now because I have a mission to fulfill. So what I will do is I will just embrace you, and my embrace is akin to taking shelter on you. And maybe when I'm coming back and if I need some shelter, then on the way back I will see, etc. So in this way he pacifies the mountain Mainaka. So then the mountain Mainaka goes down. Now he keeps going forward. Now as he keeps going forward, there was a Nagamata that came. Nagamata means the mother of the serpents, or the celestial serpents. Now this Nagamata, she was huge in size, ferocious, and she looked at Hanuman and she said that, well, today you are definitely going to have to come inside my mouth. because there's no other way. So Hanuman says, I'm not coming inside your mouth. So he increased his size even more. Now this Nagamata, she increased her size even more than that. So then Hanuman thought that, well, this Nagamata is definitely very capable. If I keep increasing my size, she will also keep increasing her size. So then Hanuman thought to himself, he said, actually, what did she say? What were her words? She said, you have to enter my mouth. There was no question of coming out or not coming out. So at that time it's described that Hanuman, he took a very, very small size of a fly. He goes inside the mouth and then he comes out. And then he says, I have fulfilled your word. You wanted me inside your mouth. I have gone inside your mouth and I have come out. So now you can't complain anymore. So Valmiki describes Hanuman here as Vayuputra sa buddhiman, which means that he was very, very intelligent. He knew how to tackle. So then this Nagamata, or this mother of the celestial serpents, she became very happy with Hanuman. She says that actually I was sent by the demigods to see whether or not you're fit to perform this action of going and finding Sita. And she says that by your intelligence and by your valor, I understand that you will be successful in your journey. So she blesses him and she says that you have all my blessings to go and find Sita. So then Hanuman goes down south again. And as he goes down south, now he notices that there was a demon who was pulling his shadow. And just by controlling his shadow, she was able to pull him down and drag him into the water. Now Hanuman tried all kinds of tricks like getting bigger, getting smaller, but nothing was helping. So then he realized that this demon was definitely a real demon. So then he took his fist and he punched that demon like in her head and essentially knocked her dead just with one punch. And after that demon died, does anyone know the name of that demon? So this demon was known as Simhika. And I didn't tell you the name of the previous Nagamata. What was her name? Surasa, exactly, that's right. So Surasa was the previous one, and this one is Simhika. So Simhika was killed as well. So now, after this section, essentially, the commentators, they make a point. They say that Hanuman encountered 3 kinds of obstacles on his way to Lanka. What were these 3 obstacles? One of them was Mainaka, one of them was Surasa, and another one was, apologies for the interruption, but is there anyone with a car, a 945 SOH or something? Okay, I think it's obstructing for me. Thank you. Where was I, sorry?
Obstacles. 3 obstacles.
Oh, 3 obstacles, that's right. So these 3 obstacles. The first one was Mainaka, next one was Surasa, and next one was Simhika. So in the commentary to the Ramayana, it's explained that these 3 obstacles actually explain or actually represent the 3 types of obstacles we encounter in the path of bhakti. Or when we are doing devotional service, these 3 types of obstacles are there. What was the first one? The first one was Mainaka, or essentially a friendly kind of obstacle. So when we start the path of devotional service, we may see that sometimes our friends and family, they get very concerned. Oh, if you start doing bhakti, you will become a sannyasi. Oh, if you start doing bhakti, like you'll give up your work and then how will you eat? Like how will you work? If you don't work, how will you eat? They start thinking like that. Or they will start saying things like, oh no need to chant 16 rounds, just chant 2 rounds, do your duty. Krishna is satisfied with your duty also, it's all okay, no need to do bhakti, etc. So that here is described as those obstacles which represent Mainaka. So it's not that they're trying to obstruct your bhakti, but they're doing it just out of affection for you, because they're really just worried about your welfare. So the way you deal with these obstacles is represented by the behavior of Hanuman. So you should not be aggressive with these kinds of obstacles, and you should not be like, oh, I'm going to smash my family members, like, oh, I'll smash them with this philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. No, because it won't work, because they're doing it in a friendly mood, they're doing it in a friendly mindset. So if they're coming with a friendly mindset, you deal with them in a friendly mindset, and then they will be pacified and they will be satisfied. Then the next kind of obstacle that comes on the path of bhakti is that which is sent by Krishna himself, or that which is sent by the demigods. Now these kinds of obstacles you're meant to solve with your intelligence. So these kinds of obstacles you have to read the Vedas, you have to read the scriptures, you have to read and listen to the words of the Guru, and then you are able to solve those kinds of problems. So that is the second type of obstacle. And the third type of obstacle, those are the real obstacles. Those are like proper, like when demons try to interrupt your work. That's when you have to take the name of the Lord. So like for example, we saw that in the case of Simhika, Hanuman, he punched Simhika, but before punching Simhika, he actually took the name of Lord Ram by saying Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram, and then he punched Simhika. So he took the name of the Lord, he invoked the Lord, and then he punched Simhika. So by this, he was able to conquer over this obstacle. That's why one of the saints whose name is Tyagaraja, who's also a devotee of Lord Rama, he also says that I also have a weapon with me. And what is that weapon? He says that weapon is none other than Ramanam, which means the name of the Lord. This concept is there in the Christian tradition also. They also say that we need to have the sword and armor of the Lord. So same thing is there, that when you encounter obstacles, especially by atheists and by demons, people who are in the demoniac personalities, etc., to overcome them, you need to have, you need to essentially invoke the name of the Lord. You can't overcome these kinds of obstacles by your intelligence or by friendly dealings, etc. So these were the three obstacles. So remember in the morning when we were discussing, we had a class in the morning also, and we said that the Ramayana discusses the obstacles to obtaining bhakti also, and the obstacles are essentially discussed here. So after destroying these three obstacles, Hanuman comes in, he lands at Lanka. Does anyone know what time it was around when he landed in Lanka? Was it morning time? Was it evening time? Yeah, it was evening time. It's described around 5:30 to 6. So the sun was just about to set. So when Hanuman arrived there, he saw, wow, like he praises Ravana because it was very, very beautifully constructed. He could see, as he was flying, he could see that the fortress of Lanka was very beautiful and very powerful. The soldiers looked very well positioned. He could see that the dancing was going on very nicely. Music was playing very nicely as well. So everything was going on very nicely. So then Hanuman decides that, well, I can't really have my big form. So then at that time he decides to take a small form. Now the interesting thing here is that you should look at the comparison that Valmiki uses when he is describing the form that Hanuman took here. So the comparison he uses is Trin Kramane Vikramya Bali Viraharo Harihi, which means that just like in the previous age of Satyuga, how Lord Vishnu, the ginormous Lord Vishnu, took the form of a dwarf to do what? To establish dharma. Similarly, that giant Hanuman, who was in the form of like a huge mountain, took the form of a very, very small personality. So he took the size of a cat, it's described. So he took the size of a cat and then he started going in. Now what? Does he encounter any other obstacle there as he goes? Yes? Yeah, there was a guard who was guarding Lanka at that time. So now Hanuman had to deal with her. So she was none other than the immigration officer of Lanka. So yeah, she's the immigration officer, but if you want to find out the name of this immigration officer, you'll have to come back tomorrow. Because we're going to, unfortunately it's time, it's a bit sad, but we have to conclude our katha here today. And we will continue tomorrow. What is this immigration officer's name? What was the conversation Hanuman had with this immigration officer? And I mean, I'm sure all of you would have dealt with immigration officers. And I mean, this immigration officer was no different. So you can understand where all the immigration officers get their genes from, essentially, so to speak. So having said that, we will finish or conclude the katha here today with the hope to continue it tomorrow. If anyone has any questions, any comments, or anything that was not made clear, you can ask now. Yes?
Yeah, what about the class tomorrow?
What about what, sorry?
You mentioned the class tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's on tomorrow on Sunday.
Yeah, so we are continuing this for 5 days.
Ah.
Yeah, so from today until Wednesday. So tomorrow again we are starting at 6:30 and we'll go on till 8 as well. And then Monday and Tuesday we're going to start at 7 because people are working. So 7 to 8. And then on Wednesday is the actual Ram Navami day. So then we will continue, we'll start again at 6. So we'll continue that. There's a flyer also, we'll get that printed and posted up there as well. So any other questions about session today, or did everything make sense? Or everyone's absolutely speechless? Okay, so that's fine. So the best way to understand Valmiki Ramayana is that one thing is to take notes. So if you bring a pencil and if you take some notes, that will be good. Otherwise, the other best thing to do is to take the Ramayana also. We have Ramayana in a few different languages. We have English, Tamil, Telugu, and Gujarati, and Kannada, I believe. We ordered Hindi also, but for some reason the Hindi ones didn't come, unfortunately. But because we're in Australia, I'm sure we can all take English also. So please approach us, me, Madhavananda Prabhu, Ganesh Prabhu, and please take this Valmiki Ramayana. If you have a Valmiki Ramayana, then please take one to distribute to your family and friends. This is the best gift that you can give. And you can actually follow along Sundarakanda as we are reciting the story. So this will be one of the best gifts that you can take for yourself and or for your family for this Ram Navami.
How much are
So the books are $20 each. So please excuse us because the freight from India is extremely expensive. We're not making any profit on this. This is essentially just the cost price of the books. We're giving it to you exactly at the cost price. We just want people to read these books and make their life successful. So all of Sundarakanda is there. In fact, the whole Ramayana is there in these books as well. So please take these books as well. And after the class, we'll have this book table set up as well. So you can, after Aarti, sorry, we'll still have the book table. Vancha kalpataru bhashta kripa sindhu bhyo vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.